The ducks doing their thing. Last year's carrots. Trim down my sunflowers in this area to about this height so that the tomato that exists in there, as well as all the squash, could get better light throughout the evenings. You can see there's lots of pumpkin or winter squash growing through this area. There's some beans tucked in here too. And those are radish pods that have just refused to dry out. One day though, my tiny corn, so this was planted before my other patch, but you can see how like sparse it is, and it's producing just slowly, but I'm pretty positive that's because of the sunflowers, which is why I came to chop all this down, hoping that that corn will take off like this corn has, because this was planted weeks later and was clearly planted later for quite some time, and now it looks way better. You can see an actual good sized corn there. That's my best one. Got some asparagus that refuses to die tucked in here. And my mugwort, which I heavily pruned back, hoping I could get the sage. And what do I have growing here? Poppies, California poppies. Just trying to give them a chance. There's my beans, some mallow growing next to it. The peppers that are surviving, not thriving. 1, 2. And this is thistle mixed in with mustard seed that I planted on the area just as cover crop. Ooh, and there's some clover too. The thistle was not intentional, but it's this really pretty dark leafy green one that will bloom purple flowers, and I just pick them before they bloom, hopefully. My duck area, still not wonderful. All the sunflowers I trimmed are in the pond right now because they absorb all the icky stuff. As you can tell, the water's green again. I do drain it and put clean water in. I just apparently never do that before filming one of these. And that is mustard seed that I threw down. Again, just as a cover crop until we get around to finishing the landscaping here. I'll put fence posts up. Let's go track down those ducks. Here's my tomato bush where I have 4 plants here, and it's reached a point where I don't know which is which. And also the ducks keep nesting in this area, which is why I'm putting the fence up, because they have broken that basil. They've broken tomato. It's a sucker, but I'm gonna call it a stem. Tomato stem that's in there. They broke this marigold yesterday, and everything's just hanging on. Oh, this is amaranth. It's the only one I've let get that big, because I've used it as a cover crop, and so you can see that's what this is. There's a pepper. There's a pepper. Everything else is amaranth, and it just makes a nice grain, nice foliage until will utilize the ground, or it'll at least keep the soil healthy and retain water. So this is where I throw scraps, and actually even like leaves with squash bugs on them, because the ducks will just come through and eat. And see a pumpkin there. There's a little tomato. Well, that tomato's been there forever, but it should get bigger. It just hasn't. Horseradish. There's a pepper in there. It is right there. I keep uncovering it, and the foliage keeps growing over top of it again, so don't mind that. And then all the tomatoes are doing pretty well. I've been picking off of them. That's why there's no red ones. Good amount of carrots left in here. I already harvested this bed a few times. That's where these bare patches come in. I don't know if that's a pumpkin. It's a volunteer, so we'll see. It's definitely going to act as a pumpkin or a gourd, because it's not going to be edible, I don't think. I've got another one in there. And then this is okra. I've got some over here too. It's not growing okra yet, but I don't think it does well on this side of the corn. It only gets morning sun, and that seems to be problematic. It's been a learning experience. Still no beans on my beans yet, but I am hopeful. Dewey, your wing looks blue today instead of purple. It's kind of funny watching a duck move sometimes. Like, Huey just basically used his breast weight to kind of like give him some momentum to get up. And I always find it hilarious. Louie, this one, was very much a klutz as it's grown. So as a young duckling and everything, its breast would kind of gain momentum in ways he didn't like, or she, sorry, they're all she's. And she would just fall all over the place. It was quite entertaining. Now, I thought one of them was a boy, because I thought one of them sounded like a boy, but I looked, and the male drakes look very distinct in both of these breeds. And these are all hens. Do they call them hens? I don't actually know that. I'm just great with terminology, you know. So here, morning glories, you know, like I have elsewhere on the fence. And these little flowers are hanging in there. But the other 4 that are planted, not so much. You can see this yellow flower here, that red flower there, and then this plant right here. Those are 3 of 4 plants like that. And that's that one with that really interesting look to it. You can see my cucumbers budding everywhere. I'm very excited by how many flowers I have on my cucumbers. I did all pickling cucumbers, I think. Why can I not get it good? And then, as always, the pumpkin patch, which doesn't look to be producing a lot of pumpkins, but that's okay. And man, these sunflowers are almost like twice as tall as me. Oh, that was attractive, I'm sure. I did pull the pumpkin plants from this side. I don't know if they were still here in my last video. More beans. This tomato plant, which is probably about 7 feet tall. No, we'll go with 6'4". Oof. And this slime mold. Okay, I just looked this up yesterday. This is slime mold, harmless to me, harmless to the ducks. Just a type of mold that grows in wet conditions. And I had it a bit over there in between that area where it's really shaded most of the day. And so that'll probably die later today. Usually this place is full of mushrooms, but I think all of my ducks ate it. See my little beans starting. These are dragon tongue bush beans. And that's that. I love all the flowers tucked away. And that's the garden, folks. Quick little Sunday morning jaunt.